Welcome, everyone, to episode 179 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded this December 16th, 2021. I'm Mark, and I'm not joined by my good friend and yours, Mino Spellgood. He is on a break. He is attending to some Christmas or holiday obligations, and so he cannot be with us tonight. So we are joined by our good friend and yours. It is XENO from XENOCUT on the YouTube. XENO from across the ocean. It is lunchtime where XENO is, not nighttime. XENO, how are you doing today?
If I said it's another day in paradise, would you believe me, Mark?
You know, thank you for the frog. Thank you for the bits. You know how much I love the bits. I love them. I love the bits. So, you know, I looked into the abyss last night while I was watching the Ranting Hour, where Mino was, along with Nidre Necklord and, of course, Black Nero on YouTube. And the abyss stared back, XENO, and it whispered gently, Yidoroth.
Oh God.
And my whole day's been bust. Yeah, my whole day's gone. My life is it's probably done. This is probably the last episode of the Crystal Chronicles. The only thing I'm going to be able to do is delete the game and destroy all my social media, and that will be it.
I spoilers, I look forward to absolutely shitting on Yidoroth today. And just giving some very negative thoughts about it. Let me just say it like that.
Live stream defo. You can check out the live stream on Monday night. I saw Cross 13 as well with us, and you can check out Historia Crux on Tuesday night. And of course, you can check out the Ranting Hour on Wednesday night. And every once in a while, once a month, you can check out the Fireside Chat. None of those pieces of shit are a podcast. We're the only podcast.
It's not only we're your podcast. Remember, you.
This is your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast.
You don't have a choice. This is it.
Yes, the game is in maintenance, and so there is a surprise maintenance. Not really surprise. They did an announcement, but we'll talk more about that. XENO, if people are not familiar with you, I assume everyone knows you, but if people are not familiar with you, tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're planning there on your new YouTube channel, XENOCUT.
Yeah, so last year I was primarily doing defo content on TXB Gaming, which is like my oldest YouTube channel, which had like a ton of subs from like a different mobile game. And I got kind of sick of looking at those numbers and everything, and all those it's 10, 12,000 subscribers from 4 or 5 years ago, and it's very hard to actually see where you are in a community and if you're growing and if people are interested when, you know, it just doesn't match up with the new community. So I was working 7 days a week this year for like 8 months, so I didn't really have a lot of time to do much. So now that I've stopped that and I've come back, I've been thinking about what to do, and decided to just start afresh, see how it goes, make a brand new channel dedicated directly to nothing but defo. So hopefully that'll just be a nice fresh start for me as well. So I haven't been able to post that much in the last month or so, just because I've been busy with real life stuff and family emergencies and things and work. So, but that's pretty much finished up all this week. So I'll be getting back to just hopefully streaming defo eventually on YouTube when I reach the requirements, making some videos, and just the usual, getting back into it because I've missed it. Like having 8 months away, I was like, how can I really miss this? Like I really miss being like a part of the community, because for 8 months it was just like the whole year just kind of flew by, and it was just like I would just log in, do a couple of fights, then I was just, you know, just not have much energy or time to do much, and I was like, I really miss being a part of it all. Miss catching shows and podcast live, and so I look forward to getting back into it. So, but yeah, the new channel is just XENOCUT.
Yeah, so everybody check out XENOCUT. Make sure you give him a sub and like his videos. And if you need the links to that, they are always in our show notes. So you can always check out XENO and all our friends, including the other things I just mentioned earlier, the links to all of those channels. All right, last week, the TCC intern Poto Cedar gave us this trivia question. Which host or guest host name has been mispronounced on the Crystal Chronicles podcast? Any guesses which name that would have been, Xeno?
I was going to say he mispronounces everything.
Yeah,
so
pretty.
It's really nailed down exactly.
So,
which podcast did he listen to get that answer?
Yeah. So for quite some time, Pierre and I mispronounced Mino's name. We did not get the pun. So yes,
I actually didn't for the first couple of months.
Yeah. So Mino, no, it's me no spell good, which is only funny. If that was my name, that would be racist. But Mino can get away with that because he is Asian American. Yes, we are. This is a very diverse podcast. We have two men, but more than and an Australian, so that's even better. Today,
I'm not a man.
You're not a man. You are a boy. You are a boy.
At least someone's finally honest with me about it. Like
you are a child. No. Yes, you are a man as well. I don't know. I don't want to assume anything, but
I want him to get into that conversation.
This week, our trivia question is, when did DissidiaFFOO officially release? So wait for the post show, or we'll talk about it next week. And thank you to Poto Cedar for that. Because the game is in maintenance, we can't do a sub campaign, so you can't give me money to green something I don't want to green. But hell, Jegrin's coming next month, and I sure as hell don't want his character kit. So believe me, there will be some opportunities. But if you're on YouTube, do like, sub, ring the bell. If you're on Twitch, do follow and consider subbing. If you're on YouTube, become a member. It's only 99 cents. Already have one exclusive member video. Am I a man or a boy? Depends on the day or the hour. So let me, just as an aside, because I just had this conversation earlier. So, it's all about perspective, right? Retro Gamer Dad, that's an excellent question, and I'm not going to answer it. So it's up to your discretion. Which one do you think Poto wants you to answer? Maybe both. Maybe it's a trick question. But so I'm a United Methodist elder, and one of the things we do in my role is sometimes we oversee other churches' business meetings. Every United Methodist church has to have an annual business meeting. And our district superintendents have about 75 churches or more. So they can't do them all every year, and so I had the opportunity to do one. And so I went to a very historic, I drove into the city from where I am, historic black congregation. Pastor's an older guy, great congregation, great church, doing great stuff in the city, older congregation. And so here I am, this young white kid, 40 years old, coming in, doing this running this business meeting, and it wasn't lost on me. And the joke I always say is, even if the mandatory retirement age for me is 72. So at 72, I have to retire from being a pastor. I'm going to retire a lot earlier than that, FYI. But even if I was 72, I'd still be serving people who are 103 and giving me shit. So we were at an IEP, which is an individual education plan meeting for my daughter. And her teacher's like 12 years old. And so I'm sitting there and like, this guy is, he's like 25, but 23, 24 maybe. But he's newly out of student teaching. He's great. We love him. He's just a wonderful guy. But yeah. So, it's all about perspective. You're always a baby to somebody, and you're always, unless you're 100 years old, then you rule the roost and you're probably in a nursing home and can't, you're drinking through a straw. You don't have teeth, so nobody takes you seriously. Anyway.
My thing is as soon as I get to an age where my hands don't function properly and I can't play video games, I'm done. Like, that's it. Like, I'm good. Like, if I can't play video games and my hands don't work, I don't.
No, man,
drooling in a chair. Like,
I've been so impressed because so many of our goods are older seniors. So octogenarian, the 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds, they got their phones, their iPads, their smart TVs. They're watching church online. They're connected. They'll email you or text you, and so by the time my generation,
when we get to that age,
yeah, I mean, by
we'll
the
have all
time my
this
generation,
technology.
your generation, well, man, I'd move into a nursing home today. You mean you're going to cook 3 meals for me? You're going to clean my garbage, wipe my ass? Like, come on, sign me up right now. They're too expensive.
like
None
paradise.
of us can afford it. Like we because the boomers have all the money, so we don't have any money. So none of us were going to ever be able to live in any place like that, because none of us will ever be able to afford it. But hey, this is not a true crime podcast.
Oh,
This is
not yet.
this is a Defo podcast. Let's talk about Defo. There's maintenance right now. You might see me being in the game while I have special content creator privileges, but you probably can't get into the game, and so there's server maintenance. What's going to happen after that? Probably nothing, but you never know. Maybe we're going to get a super secret event, and so that will be fun. It's going to be
extensive, 5.5 hours.
Yeah, 5.5 hours, and it's not Squex Bridged. It did say Defo server. So who knows? Let's not, put the cart in front of the horse yet. But perhaps even more exciting is the 4th anniversary Q&A with Defo producer Fujiwara-san, Fujiwara. Like that wasn't the right word after that. But anyway, Fujiwara is the great producer for Defo, and every year he does a Q&A filled with great questions like, when are we going to be able to customize our weapons? Or when can I, what are we going to get?
Remember the bad
Cloud's
Reddit
dress.
Of just, oh my gosh.
No, but last year, good questions, and good questions that led to some good quality of life this year. So
there was a couple.
Do jump on Reddit, and if you got a good idea, share it.
Good idea.
Yeah, like if you have some good quality of life questions, share them. You never know what they might steal, right? Early FR, or just, throw out some stuff. Anyway, but that is available on the official Reddit. DissidiaFFOO, I believe, is the subreddit name. Yeah, we should definitely ask them what they had for breakfast so we know the next Twitter campaign question. Yeah, definitely see if you can get Fujiwara's.
Still make fun of that. Like the Twitter campaign thing was the last time. Like I think Myth brought it up, one of my mods. It was what was that one of the questions where it was like they gave you the physical answer and people still got it wrong. They still had to give us the rewards anyway. Like, it's just, it wasn't good.
Joshua can
can't read.
Joshua can troll with the best of them. He is pretty good at that. There is there's no regular sales, nothing to write home about, but there is the new weapon gloss, the one we were missing from the Japanese timeline, and that is the Snowmog Knuckles. I have not picked it up yet. I think it's the only weapon gloss I don't have at this point. I didn't get the Halloween lollipops, as I did not get that. Those were stupid. Unlike the cactus gun, the flower bow, and the boogie
the flower
board.
It's not half bad. Like I'll submit to the flower bow. It's okay.
Belthier's got the cactus gun. I don't even remember who's got the bow. Who came out with that bow?
Sarah? Maybe?
Yeah, Sarah. Yep. So Sarah's got the bow. Zach has the boogie board because I think that's appropriate. What other weapon?
The shirtless costume it is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Aerith's got the flower, so I gave her the flower. But I'm not giving Yida the knuckles yet. Maybe I will. I don't know.
This is the first weapon gloss I actually bought because I think I hate them. I don't particularly like weapon glosses. They're just a bit too silly for me.
They're a little over the top.
And so I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to punch things like Tifa and like Sid Reigns. I'll give them the Moogle gloves. Like, it's the only one I've ever bought.
Oh, yeah,
Sid.
Sid
the
in
only one. Yeah, the Sid looks good with the Moogle gloves.
Yeah,
like
Sid
Tifa
does look good. Yeah, because Sid's
so.
normal weapons are jank. Yin reminds us the fans. Ignis has his fans. He's a beautiful fanboy. So I thought that was appropriate. So... pick it up.
Is that the last weapon gloss before we move on, or is that?
I don't know. If any of our JP players are in chat, you can let us know if there's some other ones that we're missing. I don't think there's tons of them.
No, they didn't do many, which is odd. 'Cause it's just more money, which we know Squex doesn't like our money.
Squex does not like our money, and perhaps they would think. I mean, we're getting ultimate weapons, so you can use some different weapon glosses there. But yeah, you'd think like just normal weapon glosses, or special, man, when lightning's, because we don't have lightning's sword that goes with that costume, right? The third costume.
Yeah, even the costume itself has the sword,
Right.
which is really weird, which I
Yeah.
always found weird because like now I have to equip the 35 CP to kind of match that costume.
Yeah, give us the special weapons. Make the ultimate weapons, whatever. I don't know. I don't really care. But if give us, let us spend
Just
money.
give you money.
Yeah,
please. I'm
Yeah.
begging you.
Yeah. It sounds like there's a couple more weapons coming out. Anyway, so really no news besides that, and we'll see what comes on from the maintenance after that. Last week during the show, we had a surprise event. Well, we knew it was coming, but we didn't know what it contained. The Malodorous Night. And that was introducing Lena's LD, which we talked about on the show last week. But we didn't really have time to talk about the fight. So we can talk about Lena a little bit. She's awesome. Xeno, did you pull Lena?
She's great. Oh, it was a disaster. Yeah, no. I originally was not going to pull for Lena like quite well before she came out because I'm like, I don't particularly need her. I'm happy with my supports. Like I like to run my favorite supports when I can. Like Ishtola, I've run her through all 17 Lufania pluses. I run Garnet through everything. I've got a couple other random supports. Like I'm like, I'm good. Then I realized I don't really have any range supports, and I realized that she's also the only healing support until like February.
Mm-hmm.
So until we get like Ico and Lude, the angel guy. So we get a couple other aura buff supports and stuff like that. But if you're a newer player and you need supports, she is going to be the go-to overall support for the next couple of months. So I really do suggest if you're a newer player to pick her up. If you're a veteran player, you probably have other options. But I skipped a couple other characters a lot of people summoned for. So I did end up summoning for Lena, and it was an absolute disaster. I was searching because I summoned for Kane, trying to get Caius's BT. Got to the pity mark, didn't have the BT or the LD for Kane, or the BT for Caius. So I'm like, all right. So I left my G tokens, went to Lena's banner. She came out. I'm like, cool. I'll try and summon for her. 500 tickets, didn't get it. I was like, okay, that's fair. But I got a 1 BT, so I was happy. Because I had an excess of tickets, so I went back, claimed my excess of tickets. I had like 270 excess because I had like 1,200, 1,300 tickets. It was ridiculous. It's the highest I've personally ever had. But the end cost, by the time I finally got Lena, which I never got from tickets, I ended up having to spend some gems, which don't mix, but I have enough resources that I'm allowed to mix. I think it cost, where was it? I've got it written down. 832 tickets and then 10k gems to get her LD. So it cost quite a bit to get Lena. And so I'm a little annoyed at her, but she's worth it. She's really powerful. She fits into a lot of teams. My only criticism is she doesn't have any Brave Gain, which is like one of my favorite support things because I like Brave Gain units. But she's great for new players. And I suggest if you haven't got any recent up-to-date supports or range supports, she's the only healing one for the next like 2 months. So definitely consider them.
Yes. As Sin's like 500 tickets. Wow. Yeah. No, like we've spent like 1,000 tickets on characters. Yeah.
830. And I've still got like 560 left. So I mean,
I went tickets the rest of this month because I did. I had to pity the twins burst at 125, and then I had to pity Jack's LD.
That makes me very happy. I should have just.
Yeah. And so I ticketed Shadow, Selfie, Kane, Lena, and Yida, but I went Lena first, then I went Yida, and then I went back to Selfie.
I saw that video. I was like, oh, cool, an 8-minute summon video from Mark.
Yeah.
I'm like, so he's gotten something probably, but then I realized it was a 3-in-1.
Three.
So I got very angry
all
again.
three of them. So over 600 tickets as well. Indolent Lard says, thank you for that public service announcement about Yida Roth. We're going to talk more about that. And Silocons is saying, oh, it's pronounced malodorous. Yes, that is an actual word, I believe. It means smells bad. And so we're fighting Malbros, and they have bad breath. Malodorous night. I don't know if it's supposed to be a play on like glorious, like glorious night, something like that.
English is hard. Don't worry about it.
But malodorous is a word, and it means to smell bad. Hey, are you worried about the current state of the game? No. Hey, talk about Roland. Go check the ranting hour with our good friend BC, and Nidra, I think, was on that as well. Both JP players. They had some really good conversations about that. We don't really talk about JP too much, but at the end of the day, don't think you should be worried about it too much unless you play JP, and then you shouldn't be worried about it either, because things are changing constantly.
Now, not 8 months' time.
Yeah, things are changing constantly in the Japanese version of the game, and there's going to be some fine-tuning passes this month. Yeah, this is my special content creator privilege. I've left my game up, and I haven't touched it, and I'm not going to touch it. Okay, so yeah, maybe it's not started yet. Oh, yeah. Well, Malodorous Night had a Lufania plus fight where we fought 2 Malbros and 2 Sahagins. And so, interesting little tidbit about this, and a shout out to Black Nero, Black Cloud's with us, who noticed this and did some digging. They did have a similar fight in the Japanese timeline on a campaign. I think it was on the Theodore cycle. Yeah, and so I don't know if that was a campaign or a heretic. There's a campaign fight, I think, with Theodore on Theodore's cycle. There you go. Oh, maintenance ended early because of technical issues. Interesting. Interesting. Well, we'll keep our. I guess I'll change the. Oh no, there we go. Unexpected error occurred. Oh, D's nuts! That was the game version of D's nuts, right in my face. Oh man. No, maybe we'll log back in. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But in the Japanese version of the game, okay, yeah. So Theodore was the mid-month heretic fight. The enemies had a little bit different mechanics, less mechanics actually, and more HP. So in the future, there will be a similar fight likely, and it will be easier than this fight. Which is very interesting, and I think very good, because obviously we're going into what we've called garbage time, and we'll talk about why that should offend you later. But we're going into this era of the game that's fairly easy and not particularly challenging, and so they brought this fight kind of from the future, expanded it to 2 waves, made the Lufania orbs a little bit different and the mechanics a little bit different, and I, for one, love it. I think it's great. I'm very happy about this content. Let me break it down real quick for you, what these bosses do, and then I'll shoot it over to you, Xeno. But you fight 2 greatest Malbros. They got fungus on their head, so they're the best, and they have an orb, and I like the orbs on both of these bosses because they don't tick down when the boss takes an action. They tick down when the player takes an action, but they don't take down when the boss takes an action. I really like that. I think that helps to I really think that helps to allow you to let the boss take turns. Roland is asking, what's garbage time? Wow, that's a great question, Roland. Garbage time is this era over the next 6 months where content is very easy. All the characters kind of come up to a similar power level. There's a few ones that are more powerful than others, but people come back with their level 90 and their crystal strength 90, and they get reworks that become very powerful. They get EX bumps and everything else. And so a lot of characters become very usable, very powerful, and content's pretty easy. And it happens really quick. Yes, really fast. And so we call it garbage time. It's a sports reference. In that time in the game, so if you're playing football, the garbage time in the game would be like the 4th quarter, you're up 47-7, and you're bringing your 2nd and 3rd string in just to keep the clock going and to get the game over with. So the game's already won, but you got to run out the clock. So That's kind of what we're talking about until we get to... Now, there's a few fights that might trip people up until we get to Shinryu. But when we get special things, GL exclusive things like this, that really does shake things up. And so there might have been some people wanting to skip on Lena. You didn't need Lena for this fight, but she ticks all the orbs, makes it a lot easier, and really makes it a tempting pull. So good on Squex for that. So this one was every party member has at least 30,000 brave. Then the orb goes up at the end of the turn. The funniest part about this fight is if you cleanse, player cancels debuff, the orb pops and you die. And I thought
It's caught me a few times.
That's awesome. Because people don't realize, like, Sid Reigns cleanses on his EX,
I don't know what he does in general.
People don't know what any of the kits do, right? Belthier cleanses on his LD. And so people are bringing Esna characters and dying. And, of course, that's one of the ways you tackle with Melbros. They put debuffs on you, you cleanse, you Esna. Can't do it. So I really like that. So that's the first wave.
You can override the debuffs, but you just can't cleanse. So.
Yes, you can deal with them. You can prevent them, and that's what Lena does, right? Lena prevents them. She keeps everybody's brave capped up. That's how she deals with that. The next wave, and this is one of the things that it wasn't, the Sahagins weren't in Japan. They weren't, they didn't absorb magic, right? I believe that's one of the issues. They didn't absorb magic. Yeah. So these absorb magic attacks.
No, I think it was they can't be imperiled. That was
and yeah, they can't. They are immune to elemental resist down, so you can't use magic. And the only ways you can get around the elemental resist is Bart's. Jack has that as well.
People that self-imperil, like on an aura, which is very limited options. But
right. The orb with this is player gets a target 80% of their max brave. One per ally. So, of course, Lena's special attack Dragon Breath, Lena's skill 2, I think, Lena's LD, all those do that. And, again, ticks down, can't tick up. And they get all kinds of great buffs to themselves. Every time their orb pops, and it is not a deadly orb, so you can take it, and you'll take it at least 3 times because it automatically goes to 0 throughout the fight 3 different times. I think normal, like 70, 79, 49, 29.
Yeah, 79, 49, 20. It's not that the orb goes to, just automatically.
Yeah, the orb automatically pops. But even if it doesn't, if it just ticks down, you can survive the attack. The problem is every time they do that attack, their orb attack, they buff themselves, and they have a special framed buff that prevents HP damage and brave damage. And so that's a pain in the butt, and so you need to
turn rate as well. It's a very powerful self buff,
and so you can steal it with characters like Belthier. You can cleanse it, or you dispel it with characters that dispel, or you can use characters like Caius, Yuffie, Sid Reigns, Aerith prevents. There's all kinds of different ways, but you have to manage it. So there's several things you have to manage in this fight. Makes it very interesting. I thought it was a very well designed fight. Beatable. Like, I don't think people really had tons of problems with it, but engaging, interesting, a lot of fun for me. Xeno, what are your general thoughts on this one?
It was a good fight, but it kicked my butt for about 6 to 8 hours. Not gonna lie. One, because I was trying to get Saga run characters through like an idiot. But like it's a good fight. My only criticism would be you can't imperil. I think that was just like a tiny bit over.
Sure.
Not overtuned, but it was just a little bit too much. Just like because there was a lot going on, and one thing I think was the notes is like Lena doesn't dispel.
Yeah.
She only prevents, and so like you have to bring very specific characters to try and get rid of those buffs, which will happen, and they do. Those buffs that happen when the thresholds happen when they do their big orb attack. That will push off, even if you've given them 8 framed debuffs, they will still push one off to give themselves that framed buff, no matter what.
Yeah.
So you can't even block it out. So you have to dispel it.
Well, the best way I found to deal with it is the preventing them from buff. And Yuffie has that ability. Doesn't Aerith have that? I think Yuffie's Yuffie's a lot easier because Yuffie, it's on her EX maybe. She gets that framed debuff that prevents them from buffing. So that's really, in my opinion, the easiest way to tackle it. But yeah, if you bring significant dispellers, and that was something Mino was talking about in one of our chats, was that one of the concerns that he had was there's really no dispeller on the banners right now. And so you really can't, you can pull for Lena. She takes the orbs. She helps prevent the debuffs. But in terms of pulling for someone to deal with the actual buffs the Sahagins get, you're talking about, you better have Caius or everything else. Now, BC did remind us that you have
10 too. Like, it's a significant duration.
Oh yeah, no, it's rough.
Damage, like 30% brave damage and 100% HP damage resist. That's huge. Like, that'll, if you let the orb attacks go off outside of their thresholds, it's gonna make the fight drag on much longer, and for some people it'll be really quite difficult if you don't have these certain units to tackle that. Like,
yeah, BC is saying that Cyan was the other character who he dispels when this dropped in JP. Beatrix, I did see some Beatrix clears kite, yeah. Sin says I did run him down without dispelling, but we have to see. I'm sure the orb ticks if you cleanse, yeah. No. That VL that's on the first on the Melbros, if you cleanse your debuffs, so the Melbros debuff you, if you cleanse them, then the orb pops and you die. You can't survive that orb. The orb doesn't tick down when you cleanse on this. It just ticks down 2 turns every player action for the Sahagins. But yeah,
it was a good fight though.
And there are free dispelling options. So there are regular calls that have dispel, like Ferris.
Ferris, yeah, just the base call dispel. Vanille's base call.
Vanille's base call. Diabolos summon dispels. Yep. So I mean, if you really are careful, you could get away with it. But it would have been nicer if they changed up the banner. Instead of Trey, there was somebody with dispels. Rerun Belthier. I don't know. Bring Vanille.
I'm on the Vanille waiting bus.
Put
right
Yuffie on there. Yeah, I mean, they could have thought about that. Oh yeah, Cloud Call dispels, and yeah, if you have Cloud,
you have the weapon pass.
A lot of people. I saw a lot of people. Oh, Yin is saying Beatrix debuff is in peril, so you can't make it work.
Right.
A lot of people used Orin as a tank and put Vanille Sphere. Vanille has an E-Sphere that allows you to dispel on attacks. So people used him with a Vanille Sphere, or even a Vanille Refined Sphere. So I saw a lot of people use that strategy, and it seemed to work, because every time he counters with his follow-up, his counterattack, he then dispels. So, yeah. Lots of good options.
There's a lot of options, but it's still, I think it was one of the better fights we've had, but it did kick my butt for quite a while. I tried lots of different team comps to eventually get it through, and then I just said stuff it after the Lena thing, and I brought Lena and a couple of characters, because there was a couple of really cool runs that I saw, whether it's just through on the TCC threads, or one that I liked a lot was just like the core Ishtola Kate Sith from Elfino, and then using Shulk, because Shulk's LD can cleanse as well, and then just burning through like thresholds, doing burst phases, so they only have the buffs like up 2 or 3 times the whole time instead of letting it happen again. So there was a lot of ways through it. There's a lot of clears as well, and a lot of really interesting ones, but it was a good fight. Wave 1 was kind of a pushover. I saw a lot of people just using Twins Friend, just burning it down super quick, so you can spend the most time on Wave 2. Because a lot of my runs that failed for me, I was trying to save my friend for Wave 2, because Wave 2 was, I think, objectively harder with more mechanics, and it was so like I was getting to Wave 2 at like turn 25, 35, and then it became too much of a DPS race, and then like every time their buff would go off, if you can't dispel it, that's like quite a few turns that you're hampered, your damage, and it was a good fight, but it kicked my butt for a bit, because it depends on who you have. I think for newer players though, you wouldn't have a chance. There's no dispellers. You did really struggle with this. But...
I used Edaroth, and I'm kidding. Black Nero says Belthier was supposed to come with Yuffie, so maybe Vanille will return with Yuffie. Or maybe never. No more Vanille. Early Vanille Force Weapon. But all in all, Squex Joshua, Squex Crystal, Fujiwara, thank you. We always appreciate GL exclusive content and content that's good. And so I think this ticks the box along with the Equinox events, some of the early Abyss. These are the kind of things we want to see more of.
I really did like the Equinox.
Equinox was great. Yeah. So anything that mixes up the monotony of garbage time, makes us dig into our vast wealth of resources. It's just that's what I think. I'm going to do some member exclusive videos on YouTube. And you can become a member on YouTube for just 99 cents. Some member exclusive videos about like how many paid gems does Mark have, and like how much did Mark make on DissidiaFFOO this year? How much did Mark spend on DissidiaFFOO? So if you're interested in stuff like that, become a member.
Give me more money.
Give me more money.
So I can show you how much I've made.
That's what the kids. My kids watch the YouTubers. That's what the YouTubers do. They love talking about money. The kids love talking about money. Well, hey, anything else about Lena or this event, Xeno?
No, it was a good fight. I enjoyed it. I only did 2 runs because I do my Zack Saga and my Stola Saga runs because I'm a terrible Saga run person now, I guess, since Lufania Plus started. So, but apart from that, I wouldn't personally go back and try it too much else because I struggled a bit with it. But it was a good fight. It's just, and like you said, like with that quote unquote garbage time coming up, where every character's kind of just good, and it just becomes a little bit more of a pushover for anyone that's slightly a veteran player or has been playing for at least like 6 months. More fights like this because it's been mentioned before, but Josh and they're well tuned with the community. They know what we think. They listen to the shows. They listen to people's videos. They read the posts and the discords. They're well aware that we think the next 3 to 6 months is going to be garbage and easy, and not many people are going to pull as much. And so I feel like if they do more stuff like this, it'll be a lot better.
So we did just get an announcement in game about the maintenance having to end early, and it will be rescheduled to a later date. Interesting. So we'll figure that out. What's going on with that? I'm not worried about it. Probably you shouldn't be either. But let's speculate. Speculation video.
Vanille.
Vanille broke the game. It was going to be early Vanille, BT, Force Weapon, Ultima Weapon, triple verse. She'd still be garbage. Her force.
I'll summon. I'll blue her armor, and then I'll be sad that she's on my bench.
Her force gauge only ticks up when you dispel a debuff.
Her force gauge ticks up when she's not in the party.
No, just when she's on the bench. I can never get over the way she ran in Final Fantasy 13. Anyway, enough about Vanille. She's nowhere to be found. Let's go to our community. So we have this new thing that Poto Cedar started, a supporters corner. So if you're a member on YouTube or a subscriber on Twitch, you link that account to your Discord. Get on our Discord. You're invited into a couple private channels. And one of them, we ask a question every week. The question this week is, how long have you been playing DissidiaFFOO? So Xeno, tell me about your DissidiaFFOO story, because you wrote a whole paragraph. You blogged in this. So here's your opportunity. Here's your opportunity to blog.
I was down bad. I blogged. I did actually start DissidiaFFOO day 1 when it originally came to global. I played like the first week of JP originally because I saw 40 play it way back when. And I was like, oh, this is cool, but I can't read anime, so I'm not going to play this. I'll wait for the global version eventually. So I started on day 1. And I actually made videos on the old channel like years and years ago. It was one of the first, that's how I met 40 and a few others. But then I only did it for like a month, and then I deleted it all because that's just what I did. But I played until Van's like 35 CP. And that thing cost me like 85,000 gems. And I'd spent also real money quite a few times. And there was no pity system back then. And so I'm like, oh man, this is another gacha game. It's just going to steal your money. I'm out. And then I came back with RNAO. So I had a good year and a half, 2 year break then, and then I just randomly logged back in with RNA because I saw some like retweets on Twitter from the JP characters that were coming out at the time. I'm like, oh, this looks pretty cool. This game, the animations look a lot better and everything's been updated. And so I've been playing since February, roughly last year again.
Nice.
Since then, so nearly 2 years now, I think. So
Well,
RNA helped a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
looking at the community, just gonna break down the community a little bit. Holden says started when Beatrix came out. Yeah, that was a lot of people started around that Beatrix event. That was an anniversary, first anniversary. Nidre FFOO tip or faux tip, like Q-tip.
No.
Is BC still here?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm with BC. I didn't get it either. I never got that reference too. He's not alone with that. I listened to.
Check out FFOO tip. Nidre started at the Emperor character campaign in GL and around the Pestle Start Dash in JP, and is actually going backwards and getting some old data into FFOO tip. Yeah, he's angrier. Kasaisa started around Kadaj's event. And so not too long ago, Goose, I have to remember because everybody does weird stuff with their names in Discord. That is Goose. Started at launch but quit around Ace. Spent all my gems chasing Setzer in Squall 35. I've been there. Picked up again at Zonde. Pond says, I recall downloading playing it when it first dropped. Dropped it immediately. Came down during second anniversary. Daniel playing since Agrius. Blartanian started at Selfie debut. Corvaxis started during the first week of GL. Never played a Dissidia game before. Lily started around 3 months after released. Drop picked up back after Noctis event. Final Asum, day one, quit at the EX era, came back during Pain. Mike, day one player, learned about the game from NT Box. Yeah. There was a co-campaign when NT came out on the systems, and you got a Buster Sword code. Yin, same. Yeah, you got that code. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yin, same as Mike, started with NT. Frog started day one, free to play, by the way. Lost the account and started a new one. Warrior of Light BT cycle. Mist started day one, played JP a week before to get a feel for the game to pull Squall's EX. Soraya started around Aerith or Cyan. Mouse lost an old account, jumped in and out, started around Rude LC. I was at a restaurant today, just to mix this up a little bit, and I was convinced that the server said his name was Rude. And I'm like, and he was a big guy. And so I thought, well, he was a young guy. He's probably 20-something. But he was a big guy. And tall, really tall, good-looking guy. But
he's a meaty boy.
Yeah. But he wasn't fat or anything. But he was a big guy.
Yeah,
he's big, tall. You wouldn't want to be in a fight with him. I'm like, well, maybe his parents were Final Fantasy fans and they named him Rude. It was Rudy. Rudy. So shout out to Rudy. You did a great job today. And I hope I tipped you well enough. CSDX started playing on release, coming from FFRK, that's what we did. Mother Lover started playing at Lightning Hope. Tree Void started day one, but left early, came back with Lightning. CSAM been playing since Ash 35. And Mino's Stellar Evaluation. So you can go back, chase Reddit for Mino. Mino used to write evaluations. They were always really good. That's how we met. Blind Eye started a little bit before Beatrix. 40 the Broadway Saiyan played JP for 5 years and started GL when it launched. And 40 and Joseph are two of the first people to make content for the GL version of the game. Stray Bead, been playing since month 2. Shadow Rises, the first event character I remember was Zack, so around 3 years or so. Shaded Mystic tried the game briefly when it launched, didn't enjoy it. Big into FFBA, came back at Kuja EX. Summon Biscuits started May or late April 2020, Prompto LC. K9 Word started at Van EX. Scythe started at Zack event. And Sky Splits started around Sid's Final Fantasy VII. Raw Life says, I started today. That's a lie. And Bishop says, I started during Squall's event and have been playing continuously since. Thank you all for your answers. If you want to be part of that, yeah, great question. Thank you, Potoceder, for that. If you want to be part of that and hear your name on the podcast, you can become a member on YouTube for 99 cents or give us a Twitch Prime or regular Tier 1 sub on Twitch, and we'd be happy to do it. Silocon said he started playing today, free to play, by the way. I was a pre-registered player.
Oh, look at you.
I made content for a game called Final Fantasy Record Keeper, and we knew that this game was happening in Japan. And so when it says the stream died. Awesome. Awesome. Well, we'll see if it comes back. Oh no, stream is dead. Yeah, we'll just take a little minute here. 40 the Broadway saying. Yeah, we'll just take a little second, see if it comes back. Yeah, let's see if it comes back.
YouTube's still live. Oh, it's live for me.
It's live on YouTube. Yeah, make sure it
Refresh.
comes back. Yeah, make sure it comes back.
Who am I telling refresh to? The people that can't hear. Excellent.
Yep, refresh and it should be back. Who knows? Sometimes it skips. But anyway, yes. So thank you all to that. If you're interested, you can join us on YouTube or on Twitch and hear your question.
Yeah, that was a good question. I like hearing the different people where they started, and there's actually more people that I realized that started and then dropped, then came back and have stuck with it for a couple of years afterwards as well.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that the game can grab people again and keep them invested for a couple of years after they quit originally. So.
Yeah, that is always very helpful. To be able to enjoy things. Yeah, it should be back on Twitch. Yep. So I checked both of them here. But yeah, appreciate that. And yeah, we've been playing it for almost 4 years now. So hopefully we'll be playing it a little bit more in the future. Well, let's transition from that to the community token challenge, Heartless Gaze. And Heartless Gaze brought us Ida's, that is Ida.
Boy.
Ida. That's how you pronounce her name.
I thought it was
Ida.
Ida. My bad.
Ida. It's I don't know. You play Final Fantasy 14 as well, Zeno. I have recently switched from the English audio to the Japanese audio, and it is hilariously better. Listening,
yeah, I've seen clips of it actually. Yeah. I saw
listening
you put that in the chat, and I looked up a video. I was like, oh, that's a big difference.
It is hilariously better to watch it in to watch it Ida like
Wida.
Yeah, Ida. Yeah, Wida.
It's like a kid.
Huda.
Wida.
Huda Wida. No, whatever. The character no one cares about, who's not even really in the game, so it doesn't matter in the first place. She comes back, and I like Ida in Default. I hate her in Final Fantasy 14 because. Have you played Final Fantasy 14? I can't imagine you actually like her.
I don't mind her. I don't mind her. She's not my favorite Scion by any stretch, though. No, but yeah, I like you. I like her in the game. I liked her the Chaos era. She was a lot
well. She was one of the early. She was one of the first characters that had an HP attack. So when you pressed a button, a skill, it did HP damage without having to press the HP button. So you have Brave Attack, HP Attack, Skill 1, Skill 2. That was the original setup of all your characters. And so most of the characters did not have Skill 1 and Skill 2s that did HP damage. So you had to Brave, and then HP Attack. Yida had one built in. She had a very powerful, I think it was Touch of Death. I think Snap Punch was a Brave Attack, and Touch of Death was the HP dump. And so just like Squall had one, so Squall, Ida, Tidus, of course, got his early 35 and got one. Very, very, very powerful and a lot of fun for them as well. So, yeah, Snap Punch, Hanchu was saying. Well, Yida's had some interesting iterations. The last iteration she got, she's a melee damage dealer, right? So it is what it is with her. But she kind of got the monk rotation in the last iteration, the X Plus era, where you had to kind of build up stacks of your Grease Lightning, and then you used them on your EX, and yeah, it was okay. I enjoyed her in that era a lot. She comes back with her LD, and her LD gives her a new buff, which gives her stuff that she needs, like attack up, HP damage up, brave damage up, etc. But the big thing it gives her is the ability to unlock her HP +++, which allows you to take a free turn, instant turn on break. So how this works, when Yida breaks with her HP +++, she gets an immediate free turn, instant turn, and then her next action is also moved behind the free turn action, which allows Yida, and her buffs all increase every time she does HP +++, all her buffs get +2 turns.
Which is +2, yeah, no one.
Which is stupid. Yeah, it's ridiculous. This allows so wait, did I screw that up?
No,
she gets two instant turns. The first one is free.
Turn isn't free.
Yeah, the second one's second one's not free, first one's free. Hang on. I'm not sure what's going on with the stream, so we're just gonna just hang on with it. Just move on with it. Stream is stuck. Well, let's. I hate to do this.
Still live when I refresh both of them.
So. It's okay. So I'm just hang with it. And oh no, I think it did bounce here. No, we're still live. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, let's just keep going, and we'll always have it on the VOD as well. So, and people can refresh hopefully if they need to, because if I stop the stream, it stops the recording. Then I have to do editing, which I don't want to do. Edit that out, Pierre.
Pay you to summon, not edit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, so yeah, she gets the 2 instant turns. The first one is a free turn as well. But what this allows Ida to do is take infinite turns. Because if you pair her, well, let me put it this way. She has the opportunity to take infinite turns.
Under very specific, unique circumstances in the team comp. That's it. Oh, God.
Yeah, with the other characters have the ability to take consecutive turns, like Shadow. Shadow can pop LD 2 turns, so he can do 12 turns in a row. Same thing with Terra. Terra can do about 16 turns in a row. So those are characters that can do that. Characters like Jet can break, take an additional turn. Lightning does the same thing. And you can use their AA to refresh that. Aranea can do the same thing. But they're only taking a few turns in a row, before they will have to allow somebody else to take a turn. And so the thing Yida can do is consistently take free turns forever if you can break. And normally you can't always break, so it's not a big deal unless you pair her with Sephiroth, whose BT effect puts all enemies brave to 1 at the end of the turn. So with Sephiroth, Yida can take unlimited turns. We will come back to Yida Roth in a minute. Let's talk about the character by herself. She is not particularly overpowered. Her damage is not particularly high. Her HP++, if you have her fully maxed blue armor, it's probably doing 120,000, 125,000. her skills, skill 1, skill 2 aren't doing huge. Skill 2 is doing almost nothing, maybe 120. Skill 2 or skill 1 might do, when it's into plus version, 225. EX might do a little bit more. Her LD is a big damage dump that can probably do over 700, 800,000, but she only gets 3 of those.
And it's tied to a buff, so you can't just spam
Is
it.
tied to her buff. So she's not an overpowering damage dealer. She does have a unique gimmick, but at the end of the day, she's not the best damage dealer we've had, and it's really hard to get use of that consecutive turns given the kind of team setup you have to do. So generally speaking, probably a character we wouldn't talk at all about because, she's not the greatest.
What she doesn't even do particularly well at, in my opinion. I think she's she's the fact that even on the Tonberry infographic, like one of the only things I can write down is like, oh, her LD call's good for co-op because she's got that very few positives. Like it's like, I guess the LD call's good for co-op. Like that says something to me. Like she does damage, but
yeah, her LD call
doesn't
is
do a
good
lot
for
of
co-op.
it.
Yeah.
Like or she doesn't do a lot of it without significant help or very, very niche team building or taking advantage of like very specific supports that leave people that do gravity, like a selfie or something, or like Lena doesn't break very often. She doesn't do many brave hits with her upgrade. Let's say
Yeah, I mean,
I don't like this iteration of her LD at all.
Yeah, I think it's they really try to lean in on the 14 characters to make them like the MMO mechanics in 14. And it gets harder and harder to do in this game. And so there's so many conditionals, so many things that really don't make it work well in this, right? So, she is a little bit of a problematic character. She's not bad, but Drez was saying it does brave down work to help give yourself extra breaks. Yeah, potentially. It's not going to give you, infinite turns or anything.
But then you're stacking more niche things just to get it to perform at a mediocre level.
When we're, and it's on the heels of, we just had Kane, who, again, comparatively not going to be great compared to some of the other things, because we're on the heels of, Jegrin's a damage dealer, but who's whatever. But after Jegrin, we're getting Machina, then Null, then Locke, and all 3 of those characters that are all BT plus characters, they all have a button that does 1,000,000 damage. and not like HP plus buttons that do 1,000,000 damage, not just LD buttons. So and are gonna last. So without the cheese, which we'll talk about in a second, she's not really bringing a lot to the table because she's not doing consistent good damage. Her free turns, yes, can come, but the damage that she's getting on them is fairly subpar. And so, there's just so many better damage dealing options at this point. Even characters like Kane are just doing better damage. You have characters like Zidane, who's bringing a little bit more utility. Ace, who's bringing more utility. Even Vayne, potentially bringing more utility. The twins, who are doing more damage. Garland, who brings more support.
The twins have an instant break on one of them.
Yeah,
even
like she's, Jet,
she focuses on consecutive turns with no way to give herself a consecutive turn. She's got no break, re-break, unbreak, nothing on any of her kit, which makes no sense to me. And one of her other biggest things is, she's got a HP poison. She's the second character in Global that has a HP poison. The third one in the future will be Alphino. But that's on every single tick of every action. This is only on the enemy's actions. But then she's got to break the enemy to get consecutive turns, which she doesn't even get free skills from. Which she gets essentially nothing from breaking the enemy to get extra turns. You get an extra bit of damage, but that damage still, 3 of her turns still doesn't equal like a Jex slash.
No, right?
Nothing else we've gotten recently, or it's so. I'd see what they tried to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna call it how it is. I think they failed. Like I just don't think she's such a skippable character, and I kind of like Ida, and I liked her in the past. Um, and just that HP poison, if it was X Death or Alphanos in the future HP poison, I think it would be better. Because at least then
Yeah.
she gets more turns, so the poison would tick more. That would make
Well,
a
if
bit
it
more
was
sense.
on turn sap, like if it was on her
Yeah,
turn, yeah, that would be amazing.
at least then it would just at least give her more. Like you'd want to get consecutive turns and try and build that around her, so
Right.
she gets more HP poison, so that the damage goes up. But she just gets nothing from HP plussing.
Hey,
She extends frame. Go on, sorry.
no, yeah, Fade into Gaming. Thank you for the follow. Everybody, check out Fade into Gaming. Does stream on Twitch, Defo, and so you can always check out his streams. So first of all, TonberryTroupe.com has the beautiful infographic. You can check out all the deets on Ida on their infographic there. Quetzalma, Materiabot, and our good mod J.A set up the podcast poll. So across 9 servers, and you can always vote on the podcast polls on our Discord or any Discord that you have. Just hook it up with Materiabot, and you can get these polls set up to you as well. So across 9 servers, only one person pitying Caius BT on this. 9 people pitying Ida LD. I assume Ida, not Pinello. 4 gems, 66 tickets, and 77 skips. So yeah, a lot of people really not going for Ida. Fade 2 Gaming says, I had to pity Ida today. I'm sorry. So he's part of that group. I apologize.
She's a favorite
Because
character.
we're gonna shit on her here in a second. So let's talk about let's go to the abyss for a moment and talk about Ida Roth. So the only way Ida can get infinite turns, so there's been some talk about, oh man, I don't like these, 2 characters that you have to use together to make a combo. Like, listen, one of the first games I really played competitively was Magic the Gathering back in the 4th edition Ice Age era. That's when I started playing. So I've been playing Magic for a long time. Believe me, like when good combos come in Magic, we love the good combos. And you use them until something else comes out, right? So I don't mind.
Yeah, exactly what
Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, same way. But, so a lot of games, you have these combos that work, and I am not against that. I think that's cool. I think the fact that Ida and Sephiroth work together to make this infinite loop a reality, in theory, I think that's awesome. I like that some other characters pair really well together, right? Aphmau, Sid Reigns. The fact that they synergize so well, I think that's great, right? I'm not against that at all. So let me just get that out of the way. I don't think that's a problem in theory. How Ida Roth works is you have to have Sephiroth's BT phase up. All the things are set to 1. All the brave is set to 1 after every turn, which means Ida can HP plus forever. She doesn't have to do anything else. She can literally just HP plus auto battle until the fight's over. And if you regular auto battle, not auto plus, that's what will happen. You can go back and forth. You can go HP plus, skill 1, skill 2, EX, LD, and then, that on your free turn or on your second turn, and then back to the HP plus, and interweave them as well to do more damage. So the only thing you have to deal with then is the turn count, because you have to make turn count, and she's not doing much damage, and the orb condition or other mechanic conditions. So, for example, this fight that we had has a condition where the boss orb only ticks up if they take damage from a debuff or an effect, like sap, poison. So the easiest way to make that happen was to bring X-Death BT effect, which does sap after every turn, Sephiroth, of course, because that's part of the combo, and Ida. And so that is the way for that. You can pretty much do Ida Roth from this point until early Shinryu even, if you have the right supports to deal with the boss mechanics. So you can always have Sephiroth in your party, Ida in your party, and then you need either a friend unit or another friend, or you can bring Sephiroth friend unit as well, because Sephiroth's only going to take 1 turn, right?
Ideally, yes.
The problem with this is it's the most horrible way to play the game. And I shared my video run of it on YouTube. You can watch it. And I did commentary for the entire 15 minutes of that run. I did not auto battle because I wanted to experience true suffering. And only then can you truly have compassion for your fellow man. And so just like a police officer who needs to be tased a couple times before they can tase somebody else, right? That's how it works, right? Or they have to get shot. I don't know how that works. I'm not a police officer. But I'm pretty sure that's the thing. So it's awful. It's so, yes, Strafe is saying game plays itself. So that's what you can do.
And that's fine.
It's terrible. I hated it so bad, so much, and it was terrible, and I'm never going to do it again.
It's like Orin Core. You do it once or twice. Just say I've done it once or twice, and then you never want to do it again because you're like, what's the point of this? And often it will take longer to do than actual playing the game with a real team.
And Orin Core is better. Rain's Aphma is better. There's more interaction. You have to pay attention occasionally. This is just soul crushing. Terra Yang completely different. Again, I wouldn't do any of these things more than once or twice. Like that's just not who I am. Like I'm not gonna find a combo and run that combo to the ground. I'm not going to run,
combo like this anyway.
Well, no, I don't use characters forever. I don't do saga runs. I don't reuse. Like, I'm always pulling new characters and using new teams. Like, that's part of my play style. And you can do that in this game for the time being. Might be a little different in the FR era. That being said, this was horrible. This was my least favorite gimmick combination to ever have crossed my play style in default. Now, to be fair, before I let XENO go off on it, one of our friends did say, right now I'm playing a lot of 14. I'm just not super into the game. But I do want to keep up on the content and beat all the content. So this is a way that I can just keep playing. And if I want to come back to it, then I'll come back to it and play. If not, then, maybe I'll be done with the game. But this will at least keep me from the FOMO of missing out on resources. So if I do want to come back after, I'm burned out of 14, I can come back. So fair enough. I don't think it's a bad idea if you have, I'm not suggesting anybody pull Farida, but if you do have this in your toolbox and you are struggling, you can pull it out and you can use it. I wouldn't go to it as your first go, but if you're really struggling with some content and you don't really have any other option, it's an option. Or if you really suck. I mean, if you're just really bad at this game, but you still want to beat all the content and pretend like you're not. And you want to be part of the community, but you're not real good at it. And you want to beat everything for some reason. Like, you can be part of the community and not be good at the game and not complete everything and be okay. Like, nobody cares. But let's say you want to. You just want to feel like you're in the cool kids club. Then, okay, I guess. But I just...
I don't know. I don't know if anyone ever posted a screenshot of, I eat a raft thing. I'm like, damn, that's one of the cool kids. Like, I wouldn't be. I'd be like, all right.
Oh, no, you wouldn't be posting your clears. Oh, no. No, yeah, you're not posting your clears, but you're like feeling good about yourself is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I beat all the content. I'm part of the community, but I'm not good at this game, and I acknowledge that, so that's okay. I'm just trying to get into the mindset of, because it's not teaching you how to play, and so when it won't work, you're still going to not know how to play. And that's going to be a problem. until cam cheese. So yeah, I guess there's always there. There's Aranea, our double Aranea. Then there's always some combo to cheese with, and bounce from that to that. So I'm gonna shut up, Xeno. You talk.
No. It's just there's so much to complain about.
I
I was saying this to Vito before the show. Like, it's one of the points I wanted to bring up though. Like, if you're like, the only thing to push back against some of that was like you're saying, if you're not particularly good at the game and you want to complete content and blah blah blah. But the only people that have access to this are veteran players, because you need Sephiroth. Sephiroth hasn't been rerun in 6 months, and unless you have a friend Sephiroth, and that's not going to be quite as good as it in the party, because you want Sephiroth to probably hold a call ability while he sits there and does nothing as well. Like, a lot of people that will have access to this cheat are only going to be veteran players, because you can't access it otherwise. There's no way to get Sephiroth.
Well, you can bring Sephiroth. You can bring a Sephiroth friend, but anybody who has a Sephiroth friend up right now is a monster. Because what you are saying as a human being is that you want your other fellow human beings to experience pain and misery, and so you should take your Sephiroth friend down immediately, and never ever put Sephiroth friend up to prevent. Like, let's work together and stamp out Yidoroth.
There's so many things wrong with Yidoroth. It's just you're putting in so much effort and team building and trying to get this niche combination to work just to get a mediocre, cheesy result. Like,
I don't know how many. I mean, Jin Lee and I are two of the only people that have posted Yidoroth clear, so I don't think Pearson, we don't know yet. You can find gargoyles somewhere else, but there's no gargoyles in current events. There's a gargoyle thing for the choco boards. That's what Pearson's asking. So it's not. You can dig back through some other things. But yeah. Lids. I'm calling out Lids87, our good friend Lids. Take that damn Sephiroth down. Put Barrett up like a real man. No, I don't want anybody to feel bad.
It's like we're ever actually going to attack a person for using. No. Of course not. Play the game how you want.
I'm just saying, personally speaking, you can watch my video and hear, because I was watching it back. Like, I did it and I hated it while I was doing it, and then I watched it back and I hated it even more. And I can't. And if you are like, if that brings you joy and you do it, like I maybe once or twice, but like there are a couple people we know in the Japanese community who have like leaned heavy into Yidoroth for like 8 months, and it is CSAM. We are truly elitist. We're going to talk more about that later. But it's not, I don't know. It just doesn't seem, it's so bad. Like, like, have you done it? Like, have you done it? Like, is it enjoyable to you? I am saying personally speaking, it's just not fulfilling as a play style, right?
And it just teaches you nothing about the game or the mechanic. If you go for the next 3, 4, 5 months doing this combination just to get through content, when you can't anymore, it is going to smack you upside the face when all of a sudden you cannot do it anymore and the new difficulty and stuff comes, and it's like, I've never prepared for this, and you'll end up either dropping the game, getting angry, blogging on Reddit. Like, it's you've just cheesed your way through all this content. You won't be prepared for anything in the future. Like,
CSAM, I know CSAM talked about this earlier in one of our channels. He was able to go out and do some yard work and put the phone on auto and beat the Lufania Plus, right?
And that's kind of cool in a way.
But
like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, but then, like, why play the game? I guess that's the question. Like, who cares? Just don't play, or just don't play. Like, just enjoy outside. Like, I'm not understanding. Like what fulfillment does the game bring you if you're not engaged with the game? Now, I mean, again,
the reason we play this game is to play with our favorite characters. So if you use the same 2-3 cheese mechanic for months on end just to complete it, what are you accomplishing? Why are you playing?
Yes. Strafe, yes. Green Arden. You need Green Arden everybody should green Arden or
Did
Golbez.
your video have Golbez in it by any
No,
chance?
it did not.
Can
I
you
used
record
XDeath. Thank you, Sky Splits, becoming a member on YouTube. Appreciate that. Yeah, only sick human beings play games for fun. Yeah, see, Sam, again, why? Newer players pull and have resources and don't need to do Lufania Plus day one. And again, it's not teaching them anything.
Newer players will 100% not benefit from this.
Yeah, I mean, and they can't do it. Like a newer player literally can't do it, right?
They will not have the backlog of calls.
Yeah, I mean, you need tons of calls. Right, you need tons of calls. You'd have to lean heavy on Sephiroth Friend. It's just not going to be possible. So let's leave new players out of this. None of us are talking from their perspective. We know some new players who have actually amazing perspectives, and we'll talk a little bit about that later when we get to your question. Because we have interacted with some new players who have really interesting perspectives on the game, and we project way too much onto this mythical new player who's having issues and isn't doing that. Because new players are auto-battling quite a bit, right, through a lot of the content. But hopefully, and we've had some new players talk about, okay, I need to learn how to play the fights. Because that's what's interesting.
I had a new player come into my Discord the other day, and he's like, I actually don't understand. He's been playing since Una, and it's a couple of months now. But he's like, I actually don't understand the majority of this stuff still. And it's just like, I would never recommend this ever for a newer player or someone that's been playing for a couple of months, ever. Just you'll not learn because most newer players don't know how to play the game anyway. So teaching them how to not play at all and auto battle, it's just they're gonna have a worse experience in the future when you can't do that anymore.
And again, we're in garbage time, right? So newer players are gonna pull all kinds of stuff and whatever, right? And you're gonna be able to beat content pretty easily, regardless. In a way that's probably more engaging. And that's my big takeaway. I don't think Ydaroth is fun. I don't think it's engaging. I don't think it's interesting. I think the idea of infinite turns is there are some infinite turn loops in Magic, the Gathering. They ain't fun for anybody. Like, it's something like to actually pull it off in a match. Okay, that's a thing. But if you rely heavily on that, it's not fun. Like, it's not fun for I think there are some infinite loops in other games too. Like, it's not fun for anybody. It's like a thing to have done, and then you go back and you play the game in a way that is more engaging, more interesting.
It's just it also doesn't. The also Ydaroth thing doesn't work for everything either. Like even like if you took the Lena fight for example, which I know it's a fight before. But that has HP threshold attacks that you will eat, and they do get a turn. Your Ydaroth thing would be destroyed in an instant because they have debuffs. You have to dispel. All of a sudden, like there's certain fights that it's also just not going to work. And if these quote unquote mythical new players, that if you teach them how to do this thing so they can complete some harder content to get the resources, I just feel like it teaches bad habits.
Well, and again,
you're bad habits as it is.
Hey, Rez! Everybody, shout out to Rez Foyna on YouTube and Twitch, our good friend Rez.
Hey, Rez.
But yeah, I just and I guess again, you play the game how you want to play the game. Who cares? Like nobody's going to judge you. I mean, we're like shitting on it, right? But like, I'm not going to be upset. You play the game
because I think we're trying to just use the platform to say, hey, you could learn better, and you could. Just be better at the game, or
pull Seymour LD, and do the infinite loop of. I don't know. There's got to be a better infinite loop than that. Well, there was a fight. I don't even remember what the fight's about because I was so pissed off about Ydaroth. They had their heretic fights. If you're not familiar with that. If you don't bring synergy, then you're locked out, just like Dimension's End, but they're all under level 100, so they're all simple easy. The big fight was the Heretic Swarmfly. The orb ticks up when the enemy takes brave damage from a debuff. I think we already said that. Takes HP damage from a debuff. So any sap, any brave, Ferris Sphere, XDeath, BT effect, all take up the orb, so you have to have that. Other than that, they're weak to melee. They heal the little things they might do damage to. I don't know. I didn't give them a turn. And I don't think probably anybody else did. You didn't Yidarath this. How did you take?
I struggled a bit at the start because I was just trying to, once again, slam through Saga run teams like an idiot. And I was just trying to let them take turns. And I was just, if you actually let them take turns and you don't no-turn it, which is what most people end up doing just because you can kind of blow through it with an X-Death friend, the ads can actually heal the boss by quite a substantial amount, and the HP regen buff they give the boss, it recovers like a 19th of its health, which is like 1,000,000 HP or something. So if you actually try and play the fight like normally, it can be tricky, but most people are not going to because of all the overpowered units we've had recently.
Yeah.
So I've done 3 runs so far. I did like a Caius, Ishtol, and a Zac for my Zac Saga thing, and just 28 turns, just blew past it. Like, it just, X-Death Friend came out like turn 3, never left. And then just Ishtola BT phase with Sid Reigns. I did another one with Ace, Inject, and Garnet, just because why not? I can with the off-turn damage. Inject does a lot of damage, and I did another one with Core Titus and Aerith, because Core and Titus still works, and just had X-Death on the field from turn 1, and I, just all these runs were 20 turns, 28 turns. Like, I don't know what the bosses really did. Compared to that Lena fight, this was a nice breath of fresh air for me, where it was just like, all right, I can bring a bunch of favorites through. And just as long as I had an X-Death friend to tick the orb up, it was really not that bad.
The ads do heal the boss, Excalibur says. Excalibur, use Yidarath without X-Death. And, then we'll talk, right? Excalibur has beautiful infographic. You can go to our Discord, and under information content, you can see both of these infographics, and they are generally on Macnol's site, DissidiaFFOO.com.
They're really good. They're very helpful.
Yeah, so Excalibur has a fight breakdown of thresholds, what the boss does, and then Destroth runs the fight a whole bunch of times and gives you some different team options, and so a very good. We also have a thread that it's Heartless Gaze, Yida Lufania Plus, all kinds of different people showing their clears or showing their videos, and just kind of giving you some different options. But yeah, a lot of people really felt this was fairly simple, and you certainly didn't need to cheese it because we are in garbage time.
So that is just like, if it would be different, I think, if it was HP poison that really ticked the orb up by a significant chunk, and then the other one was like by a smaller amount. But it was really just any poison can tick it up quite substantially. So obviously X-Death Friend's going to be the MVP, because then you can bring I've brought any team I wanted through with just a friend. But even without it, like, there's so many sap calls that you can use to uptick that orb, because it's +6 for both Brave and sap damage or HP poison. So they almost didn't even try and sell either that hard, because if it was HP poison, it would make more sense. Because it was like, all right, it's it's like when X-Death came out originally.
It should have ticked up when you took a free turn. Let's be honest. Let's sell Yidarath real hard. Every time you break an enemy +1, every time you get a free turn +1.
I should just do what the Malboros did in the previous fight. Like, it just pops instantly. That's it. But there was a lot of options for the orbs, just like, because there's a lot of call options as well that have Brave and Sap on the orbs. So this wasn't as bad, and there's a lot of clears in your thread on the TCC as well, with a lot of different team compositions. So,
and if you're on the fence of Yida, please watch my video. I did not speed it up like Jin Lee. I want you to watch it in real time, and I want you to sit with it. I want you to feel in your heart how you feel after watching that video, and then you decide if you're going to pull on Yida. I pulled for you, and I ran it for you. I made the sacrifice so that you don't have to, that you can make the best decision for you. That's what I'm all about. Think for yourself. Allow you to make your decision so that you can play in the way that really, really wants the best for you. This is your podcast. It's not mine. It's not XENO's. It's yours. Your DissidiaFFOO podcast. And I'm so glad all of you can be here. Hey, we got some questions. Are you up for some questions, XENO
Give it a shot.
Awesome.
Let's have a look.
So our friend Goose, or reverse Necklord, says JP is running out of regular BTs to plus. I believe at this point only Ultimecia and Eldnarsh. Yes, Ultimecia and Eldnarsh are the only two non-BT plus BTs in the game currently. There will be new BTs, of course. So what do you think they will start doing once they run out of those extra BTs?
They just keep rerunning.
Yeah.
BTs are a cycle weapon. They're a 2-week cycle weapon. So they're just going to keep rerunning them for probably ever. Yeah. I don't see them ever not having a BT on a banner in the future, ever. Because BTs are just, that's that technically ultimate pity weapon that, it's the highest one. It's the big cycle weapon. But we know that they're nearly finished with in JP with the C90s. In a couple of months, they've only got like 20-something characters, and they've really stormed through the C90s very quickly.
Really fast.
Which is why a lot of people don't understand why garbage time is a thing. It's because they push so many powerful characters so quickly, and the content stays the same level, and the power creep goes up so much so quickly, and they push so many C90s in the next 8 months. Like, they've finished like that whole C90 cast in 8 to 10 months, which is so much longer shorter tuning pass than anything else. Like the LD tuning pass, how long has that taken? Like a year and a half, 2 years or something?
We our first LD was
Squall. Oh no,
July of 2020. So about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, like that was a long tuning pass, and now like these C90s are nearly finished in a couple of months. So there'll be something else, and we'll see on JP what that is when the time comes. So there'll be another thing, whether it's another. There won't be another free tuning pass because they just can't do that money wise. But because C90s are free tuning passes.
I do want to. Oh, I'm not on my multi-stream. I do want to remind you, that. Emperor asks, anyone know why Charlotta got a BT? Because she is the villain of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles 3? I don't know. Whatever game that she's in. One of the Crystal Chronicles games. I think it's 3. So she's the villain. So she has the villain BT. But that's not true. She's the protagonist. She's considered the protagonist because they don't have a playable. It's generic characters in the first 3.
I just thought it was because small girls that look full.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think we all know.
Evil.
Yeah, I think we all know why she's the protagonist, or she's the BT candidate. If you want to give us a question in real time, because I'm going to look on the podcast questions right now, but if you want to give us a question in real time, feel free to give us a super chat. Use your Twitch, whatever we call them, channel points. Or you can subscribe or become a member and just write your question in there. And so, Echoes of Time, something like that. One of those. 1, 2, or 3. I don't know. She's like a god. She's ancient, stupid. No one played that game. Less people. No, more people played that game than played Crystal Bearers yet. We have 4? We're getting our 4th Crystal Bearers character in this game. Yeah, 4th Crystal Chronicles Crystal Bearers, the 4th one. Wii exclusive, the least selling Final Fantasy game of all time. We got 4 characters from that game. So more people played Charlotta's game, which is almost none. Almost no people played that game.
And then Tactics, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no one played Tactics. Yeah, that's obviously no one played Tactics. So I agree. I think we're just gonna get reruns, and then obviously we might get C100 and
I don't know if they
force weapons. 99. We'll do 99 first. Yeah. You got to go 99. You always go 90, 99. So you don't break 100 if you don't have to. It's Final Fantasy. If they go to 100, we've lost. If Final Fantasy 14, I don't know what's happening next because the story's kind of done for a while. I don't. Yeah. But whatever happens with Final Fantasy 14. Can't go to level 900. They have to go to level 99. So that's for sure. CSAM says this most recent fight, Lufania Plus, has me thinking, what are your favorite Lufania Plus fight mechanics? Do you like single wave or more? Easy or restrictive orbs? Mechanics that punish no turning or launch? I feel the Lena fight had okay balance, although allowing Rain's Mao sort of ruined it. Yeah, Rainsmow ticked all the orb for that. I felt T6 was well done,
which is
but I
crazy.
had the roster for it. I guess there will always be the $64 million question. Okay. I don't know what that refers to. But yeah, what are your favorite types of Lufania Plus fights? XENO.
I guess my favorite fights are one that I like restrictive in some sense. Like I like the Lena fight, or it kicked my butt, but I just think a little bit less restrictive than that. Like one, or like for example, you can't imperil on that fight. So if it was how I was able to like elemental imperil, I could have gotten so many other favorite units. I might have actually run it more times. I prefer. I won't say I prefer single or double wave. It's always a mix. You always want a mix. You never want it to be the same. Just double waves is nice. Like that Lena one really was a nice, like, hey, the first thing is a different orb, different mechanics. It's a little bit easier, and the second wave, like, kind of like the real fight begins. Better, the boss thresholds, the orb that doesn't kill you. I like orbs that don't kill you and that just punish you. So it's like it's because the instant orb thing, it's like, oh, well, there's the whole run's gone. Okay, start again from scratch. At least with the orb not killing you, while it punishes you, but at least then you can potentially pick it back up and continue and learn from it a little bit easier, and then just the fight's over, start again. I like orbs that don't punish you mostly. Any fights that I can get favorites through, but are still, you got to have some restrictions. You just got it for a gacha game. Otherwise, what's the point of pulling? And people just don't pull forever. But I don't prefer single or double waves. It's just depends on the mechanics and the fights in between. Like Lena's had double waves, and I thought that was cool because they both had orbs. They were both different, and one didn't kill you. So you had to kind of plan a team that could tackle the first wave and then really tackle the second wave. And that means more team building, more team compositions, more actual thinking about the game and how to tackle it, opposed to just, I'm just going to bring in one team because it's only one wave, so I only have to worry about these 4 mechanics and that's it. Done. Over. But everyone's different, but yeah.
Drez64 used their Q&A points, their Chocobo points. Besides BT Plus units and new units, what are the upcoming units that are worth bluing? Well, I mean, I don't know what old units you're going to be bluing, but so I would assume any new units. My rule for bluing is blue your favorites. Yeah, blue anybody you're going to BT plus, and after that probably supports because they're the most useful.
We get so many DPS and BT characters that continuously cycle that are stupid powerful. That unless you're going to really ride them for a couple of months, supports tend to last longer. And as I was saying at the top of the show, like Lena's one of the only healing supports we have for 2 months plus.
Yep.
We get other supports that are aura bots or buff bots.
Yeah, Lena's a great.
She's the only healing one. So if you really want to lean into have a healing support, you don't have many others. I definitely recommend bluing someone like that. But if you want like a straight answer for me personally, it's gonna be you absurd DPS BT plus units, like because the damage difference is quite significant. Like between like a Machina doing only 10k at max and probably doing like 14-15k per hit with these million damage buttons. Like you're gonna lose hundreds of thousands at the end of that. Like
I regret half of my blues, and I wish I would have just blued my favorite characters. Because blue armor resources are so limited. Now, I've blued about half of so I have 20 characters that are on my favorite list. I've blued about half of them. And I've blued, I mean, there's other characters. I mean, I've blued, I blued Core. And I would have still blued Core. Any GL first, I'll blue. I blued Vaughn. I blued Tifa. I blued Setzer. So, I mean, there's a couple characters. They're like Sid Reigns. I blued Sid. But, I blued Chet because he's my damage dealer. But, and they're favored adjacent. So, I mean, I kind of like them.
blues currently. So.
But yeah, I don't, man, I just blew myself. Woo! That's post-show talk, Rez. That's post-show talk.
$20 is $20. What I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I just blued myself. Yes, that is a arrested development. Quote, that was a great episode.
Well, I've blued like Aerith, and she hasn't even got to C9. So you're an update in a year and a half.
Oh yeah, no, I blued Squall. I blued
but Squall's useful.
Renoa. Well, he's not useful yet. Renoa, she's not useful yet.
I
It
blew
won't be.
Yuffie, but like
Oh yeah, no,
the
that was
characters
bad.
where it's just
I blew
like
Shadow too.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
Shadow's blue, but he's a favorite. Balthier's blue, he's a favorite.
I
Kane's
blew
blue.
Cloud, even though he doesn't get an update for like a long time since
Yep.
he's So like,
Yeah,
but
Cloud
yeah,
and
but I blew
Sephiroth are on my
favorite.
list of bluing as well.
Yeah, Res blew Terra, people blew Shadows. Yeah, it's like just blues are for favorites only, or for people you are 100% going to use
Yeah.
more than one cycle. If you're only going to use them for one cycle, I honestly wouldn't even blue them because you're not going to notice that it just won't be enough difference. But
Yeah.
I've just blued favorites, and I regret a couple. But it is
that's pretty much the story of Blue Armor, and I regret everything. I regret Golbez, BT Plus. And I regret. At least he is from one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, so I don't feel terrible about that. But I don't. I mean, we got a lot of money for that, so I'm not terrible about it. But hey, Supernova says, hey, we know the notion of GL first BT has kind of been dismissed, but what if it's not such a crazy idea? What I mean, since FR weapons are now a thing. Since BT characters will be released with FR weapons, we know Tifa's a BT candidate. We know she'll release with a BT and FR. They could give us early BT Tifa. What do you think? Are we going to ever get early GL first BT or GL early? Xeno says no. Xeno says no.
It goes back to something else I said a moment ago. They're cycle characters.
Yeah.
And you would have to fit them into a cycle. You can't have a BT on one banner only. Just the community already riots over the smallest things and cracks the hissy fit blogs on Reddit. So God knows if there was a BT banner with only one banner for that BT. And I would like it, sure, but because we're rich, Mark, like we can afford to just do whatever we want. But for those the other people, what do we call them? Peasants.
The poors.
They can't.
Yeah,
so,
the poors. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they're cycle weapons. You would have to somehow, like, we've got campaign banners that have been switched around. So technically you could maybe do like one debut banner, one campaign banner that we're missing. Like, for example, Vanille. We're missing Vanille currently. So there's 2 banners out of like 3, because usually it's 3 banners. But you'd still have to fit in probably an event to go with it. At least 2 events out of a 3 cycle thing. I feel like, considering the work Squex does, this would be too much work to try and fit it in and squish it in somewhere. I don't know. Like, BT, I think it's just a bit of a stretch. I'd like it, though. Like a global first, like anniversary. I think it'd be really cool and a lot of hype. It'd make them a bunch of money. It'd be really... But I just don't see it happening. I just don't.
Yeah, CSAM says, have you ever considered advising all new players to pity Yida so they can Yida off everything and get the armor tokens and max favorites during garbage time? Also, have you ever considered that newer accounts, to newer accounts garbage time is insulting considering they probably don't have the roster to beat it? It's the TCC podcast, not the Elitist podcast. First of all, CSAM, you're wrong. This is the Elitist podcast. That's been kind of our thing since day one. No, we weren't very good. Oh man, we're dropping a couple times. We've dropped a couple times.
Twitch is offline.
Yeah, it's reconnecting. We'll keep going for the for the podcast because it will try to restart. So no, we just got it. We got to stop. We got to stop the imaginary new player. We have some new players in our community. They're not offended by anything, and why would they be? That's kind of ridiculous, right? They're not offended at all. They're enjoying the game. They're learning. They like to learn. They like to be involved. Some of them have done really well. And if we told them, hey, the next several months is easy, and they're like, oh, okay, great. So it's going to be easier for me to get to the end game. Great. It still may be hard. So there you go. That's not a problem at all. So
yeah, it just goes back to what you said. Like, if the Eater of things specifically, you need roster and calls to back that up. New players won't be able to do it. They won't be able to. And then you're assuming that new players have an access to a plethora of Sephiroth friends,
right?
All of a sudden, that all want to give you that cheese. Like, it's just not realistic. The new player thing just doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't.
And we just have to stop.
It's about being elitist. It's about being realistic.
Yeah, just stop projecting about what we think other people are thinking. Talk to a new player and see what they're saying, because no new players are coming out to us talking about that kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, Xeno, I thank you. We are having some stream issues, so I think we'll probably call it here instead of jerking people's chains around. But I really appreciated having.
I crashed several times.
Yeah. And the weather's been crazy, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. So. Server maintenance is probably, there's been technical issues at Squeck, so apparently we're not the only ones having technical issues.
Trying to take it down, Fader.
Right now. But this will be available on VOD and on your favorite podcast apps in its complete form because I have the recording here up, so that's not going to be a problem at all. I might have to put it back on YouTube in its full version too, which I can do. So, I may shoot that up on YouTube in its full form as well for you all tomorrow, so you can watch it without the interruptions. So, anything else you'd like to talk about tonight, Xeno?
Particularly, I assumed we'd actually do more violence toward the Eateroth thing. If Mina was here, he would have probably yelled more. But
I just
think it's just not a good combination. I just don't think it teaches anyone, new players or old, how to play the game. And then when the game will get difficult in the future, assuming you keep playing, you won't be ready, and then you'll end up rage quitting or something. And I just think it's not good to teach those habits. It's fun once or twice. Like Terry Young's fun a couple of times, Oren Core's fun a couple of times, those type of things. But even then, those characters by themselves are good. Like Terra was a good character. Oren's a good character. Core's a good character. But like this Eateroth thing, man, like you've got to combine a bunch of mediocre characters with very specific friends and calls and somehow tick the orb. And it's just, I just think you'd be better off just playing the fight normally and passing it probably in the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No one's ever going to yell at people, say, oh, mate, you used Eateroth, you're terrible at the game.
Yeah.
No, play however you want. No one actually cares like how you complete the content, as long as you're having fun. But I just don't believe people will really have fun with this.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's my last.
I agree. Well, we have a Squex community mobile stream on the 20th, 21st. So we'll see what happens, and we'll keep an eye on what's going on with the maintenance. Again, you can support us on YouTube. You can support us on Twitch. You're listening on your favorite podcast app. Give us a like and a rating on there. Join our Discord, tccpodcast.com, for all that information. XENO, check out XENO on YouTube. Give him a subscription and follow his content, which he's going to be making more of here in the coming weeks and months. And so make sure that you're following Xeno. And he has a Discord as well, so you can check out him on Discord. Don't go. No, never mind.
Well,
you can see
the reason I mentioned TCC and not.
Yeah, Xeno is available on our Discord, so you can just come on to the big Discord. We are one of the largest Devo Discords, so you can come and pester him there as well. For Mino Spellgood and Mark and Xeno Defo, this has been episode 179 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded on the 16th of December 2021. We'll keep you up to date about next month and the holidays, or next week. I think we'll probably plan on streaming, but we'll just call it by ear to see what's going on when it happens.
Next one would be like 23rd, I think, 24th, and usually quite busy with your work Christmas Eves and stuff. So
so I might be around on those Thursdays, but we'll see. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for your support, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.